Hey guys, it's Reenactment Day here with another video. It's been a while since I've done one of these impression videos, but I am going to show you, this is my favorite impression, what a soldier would wear in 1927. Now, I love this time period because you never hear anything about it. It's actually a challenge to research, challenge to get all the information. World War I, World War II, it's pretty out there. You know what everyone was issued, you know what everyone had. It's a big war. 1920s, 1930s, nothing really happened. It's kind of overshadowed by both the world wars, and all the history of it is kind of buried. So, also, I had a relative serve. My great-grandfather served during this time period, 1927. It's a very nice picture of him that helped me get a lot of information about what they'd be issued. But yeah, let's get started. Now you can see top down pretty much. It looks pretty World War One. A lot of the equipment was just World War One. They didn't really change it from the 1917, 1916 patterns. What I saw, so we got the 1916 wool shirt, got the 1917 wool breeches, puttees, they stuck around for a while, and currently right now I'm wearing Type 2 service shoes. This would not really be accurate for 1927, but because no one makes reproductions of them, these look close enough, and they do look pretty close to the boot. So the difference between the boots, well, first of all, they'd be issued most likely the 1919 service shoe, if not still using the 1912 service shoe, but the 1919 service shoe was around. Looked very similar to this right here, but it looked like it was a little bit lighter brown of a material. It was a bit lighter brown. And the sole right here, sole and heel, this would be a leather sole, kind of like the Type 1s, and the heel would be stacked leather, like most leather boots of the era. It'd just be, leather stacked on top of each other, like old shoes were. But other than that, I mean, they look close enough. They give you the idea of what it looked like. So, also black tie was, you always see them wearing ties then too. Part of the combat thing, I guess, or honestly, they ditched them in combat. Just part of the uniform. Standard everyday uniform. So, and also on my head, we got the 1913 Montana P campaign hat. So, I've seen this hat in a lot of pictures. It's pretty much the standard issue headwear of the time. I'll show you probably what they would have if we did have a war during that time. But because we didn't have a war, they just stuck with the soft cap, or not even soft cap, the campaign hat. Well, compared to the helmet, it's soft. Anyway, so let's get into the rest of the stuff that would be issued. Put the hat down over here for now. Next is where we start getting into the new things. Here we got the model 1926 Tunic, also known as just the standard World War II dress tunic. These would go through some changes from 1926 to 1945, 1944. These would go through some changes. The 1927 versions, or 1926 version, the original pattern of these, would have cut holes, holes in the jacket for the screwback pins. The World War II versions, sometimes you could just find them poked in there because, they got issued screwbacks and they're like, well, I gotta put this in somehow. But, other than that, got the belt hooks on the back. And other than just some minor things like that, it's nothing crazy. But when you do put pins on it, you're not going to see it anyway, so I'll probably just use this one. The OID was technically a National Guard unit then, technically. But probably be switching stuff up to represent my great-grandfather's unit. But right now, this tunic is just pulling double duty as World War II, and occasionally videos like this where I'm in interwar. I hope, well, I'll go into a rant after. I caught myself this time. Alright, so you see the tunic right here, very nice, is what you see them wearing a lot. They could also have the 1924 garrison belt, just a leather belt. Standard, for just garrison wear and dress events. But for the field gear, which I often see pictures in. Field gear, you would have a lot of World War One stuff. Just make sure the belt's not. No, the belt got twisted somehow. That's always a fun problem with these belts. They like to get twisted. You don't know how, but they do. Let's see. Just kind of undo that. Alright. So, on the haversack. 1910 haversack. Could be khaki, or probably very rarely it was pea green. I don't know how much pea green stuff made it through the through World War One, through the Mexican border crisis and all that. But probably be khaki. You got the 1905 bayonet with the 1910 scabbard. There we go. Got the 1910 belt right here. Let's see. Yeah, 1910 belt. Got the 1910 canteen cup and cover, World War One style. Then we got the 1910 first aid pouch right here. Again, you know, most of this stuff would probably be khaki. This is a pea green one. But what could also be issued, don't mind everything that's on this belt. This belt's rigged up for World War II. They could have the 1923 cartridge belt. So 1923 cartridge belt could be put on there. It was more common for them to just have World War One stuff because they're pretty much the exact same belt, and we had so many of the World War One ones made that we had the design all set. We probably were producing them in small numbers, but we didn't go into mass production until like the 30s and stuff. We were just reusing the World War One stuff. We had plenty of it. So, could be the 1923 cartridge belt, but most likely would be the 1910 cartridge belt. Let's put this on. Now, I'm not sure if they would use the belt hooks. You may ask, you know, why wouldn't they use the belt hooks? It's kind of in an odd position for this belt. It kind of interferes with the first aid kit, with the canteen cover. It kind of interferes with everything, and so I'm not sure if they would use the belt hooks during that time period. But the belt hooks were there. They were there. And this kit is not like the German stuff where you can slightly adjust this over to get the bread hook. No, it's here or here. There's not many. There's a lot less custom, you know, it's not as, whatever. You can't move stuff around like the German stuff because it's wire hooked in place. Now, a lot of the pictures I saw interwar is they did have the mess kit on the side. Now, in World War One, standard issue was it to be in the back. Then in World War II, it was up front. They were learning that if you're wounded, reaching behind you and trying to finagle with a first aid kit back there is a lot harder than just having to reach right here and get it up here. So the standard issue web kit did change from it, or you know, the layout did change from it being in the back to being up front, which makes sense. Canteen just remained in the back. Alright, so haversack right there is all put on like that. And it's pretty standard. I was just doing some research on some gas masks, wondering what they would be issued. Looks like they would have the 1919 version of gas mask, also known the M1 gas mask. Kind of like the World War I version, a little different. Look more rubberized, but those are probably impossible to find. So, and in the pictures I saw, they just didn't have gas masks. But I'm sure in a war they would bring back the gas mask because we didn't know if we were going to use chemical warfare or not. Now, we also have the 1913 TNP cap, like I said, it was right there. And for the rifle, the 1903 Springfield. I haven't seen anything of them using the 1917s. We pretty much used the 1917 as an emergency weapon in World War I because these took a while to produce right here. But the 1917s, we were already pretty much ready to build them for the British, so we just converted them to 30-06 and used them like that. Which, surprised we didn't switch them to be our standard because we made a lot more of them. Maybe it's something with it being a British design and, you know, American designs. Makes sense, kind of in that way, but we did produce more of them. Anyway, 03. This would just be the standard 03. Flip up sight, bolt action, 5-round internal magazine, stripper clip fed, wood stock. Now, you could probably see it with or without finger grooves at this time period. Pretty sure they did away with the finger grooves shortly after World War I. But they would probably just still be reissuing World War I rifles and everything like that. I mean, you hear the story of 03 number 1. It was sent to the trenches in World War I. Then I'm guessing during some like rifle inspection or something, sergeant saw the number and was like, "Yeah, you can't have this." And then so once they figured out that it was number 1, they sent it back to Springfield and said, "Hey, you may want to keep this." So if you actually do go to the Springfield Armory and see 03 Springfield number 1, it's a little beat up from World War I. So I don't know, fun story. So 03 as the standard rifle. Now you can see it's a nice. I think it's a really good looking uniform. Let's see, just kind of you can see around it. Pretty standard. It's a nice mix of World War I and World War II items. Mostly still the World War I items. Like I said, you got them all 1923 cartridge belt you could have. You have the 1926 Tunic, which is a nice, it's a mix. And it's weird that we would use this Tunic in combat. But I guess we did. Make sure that tie is straight. Now, for headwear, if we did go into a war, I theorize that they would have just still had. We didn't have really any other helmets in development at the time. So we'd probably go into the war still with the Model 1917 Brody helmet. Right there. So probably for combat, we'd probably have that 1919 gas mask that I said. I'm pretty sure it was in the same bag as the World War I gas mask. But we would also have this 1917 helmet. Probably exactly the same one. Kelly helmet wasn't really even an idea then. And the M1 helmet was still way off. So, that's pretty much it, I think, with this uniform. Oh, I will mention the collar disc. Now, if you can actually see the collar discs on the camera, they are not quite the right ones. Well, one of them isn't the right one, this one. This one's like the smooth back, like 1930s version. This one, yeah, late 1930s. This one is like the 1920s, 1930s version. So pretty much imagine the World War I collar discs, but instead of being black and brass, it is shiny brass, as you can see like that. So that's what it would be, just shiny brass like this. Same pattern as the World War I one. This smooth stuff didn't come out to the 1930s. But because I did recently buy a Jeep, a little short on money for a while, so I can't really buy the other one. You get the idea. So I think that is about it with this impression. I'm just going to switch out to the campaign hat because I do love the look of this impression with the campaign hat. Alright. Well, I will fix bayonet as well. Just kind of show you that. These bayonets are always a pain to reach on the haversack. Be nice when if you had a buddy that you could just reach over, they could just reach over, grab your bayonet, and you reach over and grab theirs. And trying to put this bayonet back, forget about it. So there we are. Probably sentry duty like this, and stuff like that. I don't know. Love this impression. You never hear anything of it, and it's just a forgotten period of military history that nobody ever talks about. There was pretty much all of the World War II development in field gear, and everything was developed pre-war, but you never hear about when it was still all being switched over. So you had a nice mix. Anyway, well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll probably start doing some more interwar impressions. This is pretty much the main beginning of the change from the World War I stuff to the World War II stuff. Probably next stop for uniforms would be like 1935, which I'll leave that for another video. But other than that, this is the first step in the large change of uniforms. And again, sorry, I'm filming inside. It's currently nighttime. It is 10 o'clock at night, so can't really film outside, and it was raining all day. Well, please, like I said, please like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll try and get some more interwar impression videos out because they're just fun to do. And I will see you guys in the next one.